the eternal now. Among the great voices of modern spirituality, Eckhart Tolle stands as one who brought ancient wisdom into contemporary language. His message is simple yet revolutionary. All suffering arises from psychological time, from being lost in memories of the past or projections of the future. True freedom, he says, is found only in presence, the timeless awareness that exists here and now. Tolle's insights resonate deeply with teachings from Buddhism, Advaita Vedanta, and Christian mysticism, yet they speak in a way that feels immediate, intimate, and grounded in human experience. In exploring Tolle's understanding of consciousness and eternity, we uncover not just a philosophy, but a living invitation to awaken. Eckhart Tolle's spiritual journey began not in study, but in crisis. At the age of 29, tormented by depression and self-loathing, he experienced a radical shift. In that moment of despair, a thought arose. I cannot live with myself any longer. Suddenly he realized there was an I and a myself. Which one was real? In that recognition, the false identity, the ego, collapsed, and only pure consciousness remained. This was not a belief or idea, but direct knowing, the discovery that beyond thought lies a silent presence untouched by suffering. From this experience, Tolle began to teach that we are not our minds. We are the awareness in which the mind appears. This recognition is the beginning of awakening. To Tolle, presence is the direct experience of being before it is filtered through words, judgments, or identity. It is the stillness that underlies every sound, the gap between thoughts, the quiet observer behind perception. When we rest in presence, we are aligned with the eternal, with consciousness itself. This presence is not passive, but intensely alive. It vibrates with intelligence and peace. It is what mystics call the kingdom of heaven within, the Buddha's nirvana, the Vedantic self. Presence is not something to reach in the future, because it exists only in the now. In fact, every attempt to find it later is itself part of the illusion that obscures it. For Tolle, the central obstacle to awakening is psychological time, the mind's habit of projecting identity into past and future. The ego, he says, is time-bound. It survives by clinging to memory and anticipation. It says, I will be complete when, but never arrives. In truth, the past exists only as thought, and the future as imagination. The present moment is all there ever is, and yet it is infinitely rich. When consciousness identifies with time, it forgets its own eternal nature. This is why Tolle calls the present the doorway to eternity, not a slice of time, but the timeless dimension in which all moments unfold. When you awaken to the now, you step out of the dream of becoming and into the reality of being. Consciousness as the ground of reality. Tolle's view of consciousness aligns with the great non-dual traditions. Reality is not made of matter, but of awareness. Everything we perceive, body, world, mind, arises within consciousness, not outside it. The present moment is consciousness revealing itself in form. When we lose ourselves in thought, we contract into a fragment of that whole. When we awaken, we recognize that consciousness and existence are one. Modern physics echoes this mystery. Matter and energy dissolve into fields of potential, observed into being through awareness. The boundary between observer and observed fades, and what remains is presence, knowing itself through infinite expressions. Tolle often reminds us that suffering, though painful, can be the catalyst for spiritual transformation. The ego resists the present, seeking control through mental narratives, and when reality contradicts those stories, pain arises. But if one allows suffering to be fully felt, without resistance, without judgment, it burns away illusion, revealing the stillness beneath. This is what he calls the power of surrender. Acceptance does not mean resignation, it means aligning with the flow of life as it is. In that alignment, peace emerges naturally. Many mystics before him, from Rumi to Meister Eckhart, spoke of this paradox, that pain, when embraced consciously, becomes light. Though Tolle presents his message in modern language, its roots stretch deep into the world's spiritual heritage. The Buddha's teaching on mindfulness, the Upanishads' realization of Brahman, and Jesus' words, "Before Abraham was, I am," all point to the same timeless awareness. In Christian mysticism, the eternal now is the presence of God within. In Zen, it is the suchness of this moment. In Sufism, it is the breath of the beloved pervading all things. Tolle's gift lies in stripping away the cultural forms and returning to the essence, consciousness awakening to itself through presence. He shows that enlightenment is not an escape from the world, but an awakening within it, a shift from doing to being, living in presence. To live in presence is not to withdraw from life, but to see it without distortion. Every action arises spontaneously from the intelligence of now, not from anxiety, memory, or desire. The mind may still operate, but it no longer dominates. You act, yet remain rooted in stillness. You think, yet know you are not your thoughts. This is the beginning of what Tolle calls the flowering of human consciousness. It is the same realization that mystics throughout history have glimpsed, that eternity is not elsewhere, but here, in the silent awareness witnessing this very moment. To live from this awareness is to rediscover what it means to be fully human, awake, peaceful, and at one with all that is. Eckhart Tolle's message is both ancient and immediate. Salvation is not in time, but in the realization of the timeless. When we awaken to presence, the entire structure of psychological suffering dissolves, revealing the peace that was never lost. Consciousness, eternal and formless, shines through every experience as the essence of who we are. This is not a mystical idea. It is the simplest fact, overlooked by the restless mind. As Tolle writes, "You are the now. You are the timeless awareness in which all life unfolds."